Good morning, Lana, and welcome to our today's lesson. It's another interesting lesson today, all about water. All of us know water, and just to refer you back to class 4, we mentioned uses of water. In industries, said water can be used to wash bottles, or even wash raw materials. Like for example, if you have coffee berries before they are processed, they must be washed. If you go into a leather tanning industry, there's something they prepare, chemical mixed with water to be able to wash those skins that are used to make to make shoes. We also we use water in our farms to water animals for mixing chemicals. Mixing chemicals in the shamba. We have the deep, that is our farm. We have also the pesticides and herbicides. We must mix with water for us to be able to spray. And many other uses of water. At home, you take water for drinking and bathing, washing utensils, mopping the house. All these are uses of water that we mentioned in class 4. Now, in our today's lesson, we want to mention things to do with pollution. And we want to see how water is polluted. But before we get into that, we must know what is the meaning of water pollution. Now, to pollute, we must start from there. What is to pollute? To pollute something is to make something impure. To make impure or to contaminate it. To make it impure or to contaminate it. And therefore, meaning that water pollution therefore means water pollution is making water impure or to contaminate water. That is what we call water pollution. Meaning that this water that we are discussing here is water that cannot be used either by human beings or animals or even by plants, because in it contains some substances that when consumed they are going to lead to health problems. We say these things, we are talking about the hazardous. Hazardous means they are going to have some effects in our bodies. And so, these things that contaminate or pollute water, we call them water pollutants. Water pollutants or contaminants. So, water contaminants or water pollutants are substances that make water impure. Substances that make water impure for use. So all those things, talk about soil, talk about oil, we shall be able to discuss them later in this chapter. That the things that pollute water are known as pollutants. This is very important. Then of course, we want to carry out activities that we investigate how we can find water being polluted. So investigation, we are going to carry out an investigation to know how water is polluted. What are some of the instances that can lead to water pollution? What are some of the instances that you can find that at the end of this activity, this water is going to be contaminated? Number one activity is when you take animals into the river or a water source. In that water, they are taking water directly from the river, and so what they are doing is urinating in the water or defecating in the water. Is just placing their cow dung and their waste there in the water. So that one instance that you find that water is polluted, because water that has urine from animals cannot be drunk by anybody. Nobody will take it for drinking or even cooking. Number two, people urinating into the water source. You find people, they have gone to bath in a river, which is very wrong actually, and then on top of that they urinate in the water. So that is a way of polluting water. Number three, people doing their washing in the rivers. I want to give you an example. If this is a river from a source here on the mountain, so you find there are people who are washing here, and there's another one who has come here to draw water for drinking. So this water will come down with soap. This person may not know whether the water is having soap, because the water is a mass of water. You may not know because you're not able to see the form. So they take the water and then they go home. They will cook with water that is having soap. One has washed from this end, and another one is waiting for the same water down there and fetches it, maybe to drink or do some other house chores. Another way of polluting water is, of course, bathing in water source. You find people bathing there. Bathing, just get their soap and scrub, they go there, wash themselves and come out of the river. And some people are using the same soap water for home use. Another way is presence of sewage. What is this we're calling sewage? Many times I hear you talking about sewage in school. You say that in our area there is unattended sewage. The pipes are broken down. What is that sewage you're talking about? This is human waste plus all waste that comes from our home. It's channeled through a pipe or even a tunnel. And once that one is exposed on the surface, then you can feel some smell. You can smell something that is not right. So if that waste is going to be channeled into a water source, you can see the damage that it will cause in that water. Because we're talking about human wastes being channeled into a water source, a river, and another person will go and take that water for drinking. And maybe in that waste, somebody had suffered some cholera. So this person is going to be to get contaminated water and have some waterborne diseases, and therefore you will find that it will compromise the health of this particular person. Another one, of course, is dirt or rubbish around the rivers, or even doing some farming along or on the banks of rivers or water sources. That soil gets back into the water, and you find that the water is brown in color. So there's many ways in which we can see water being polluted. So we want now to go to something we call the causes of water pollution. What causes water pollution? I'm going to rush very fast because I've discussed some of them. Causes of water pollution. What causes water pollution? Number one, I'm going to just put them into point form, is floods. When it rains, a lot of water is all over, and we have witnessed these floods in areas of Elgeyo Marakwet, Uasin Gishu County, and parts of Ukambani. You find that there is a lot of water flowing, and the water is not pure; it's brown in color. So once it rains, this water, the rainwater, carries with it soil particles. If that water gets into the rivers become contaminated, and we say floods or soil. Here, remember the soil being carried by water, into water sources. A huge amount of soil is going to be carried by water into water sources. So the water is going to change its color, and therefore it means the color of the water is going to be brown. Nobody can take water that is brown unless you are living in the parts of those areas where there is scarcity of water, like in northeastern we can understand their situation. But in normal circumstances, this is not possible. That you take water that is, if you take that water, because it's contaminated with soil particles, and we say, what is here is soil, and we say soil is the largest cause of water pollution. This is the largest cause of water pollution. So floods many times pollute water sources, be it rivers, be it the lakes, be it the wells and all that. You find the water changes color, become brown, and assuming this water was carrying, some chemicals that are found in the soil, maybe some oil, spill on the ground. All this is carried into the water sources. Number 2 cause of water pollution is human and animal waste. Human and animal waste. When human waste is not controlled, when it's not deposited where it's supposed to be deposited, in a latrine or a toilet, if it's just laid all over, once it rains, that waste is going to be carried by this water into the water sources. Somebody is getting the same water for drinking, and maybe does not know whether some feces were dropped in that particular source of water by rain. So if we don't control our human and animal waste, we are likely to pollute water sources. You'll find that water that we take is contaminated, because if human waste is going to be there, and particularly that person is suffering from waterborne diseases, those people who will use that water are all going to suffer from the same diseases. Number 3 is oil spillage. Oil spillage pollutes water, and this water, something I did not mention is that is home for some marine animals. So if this water is going to be polluted by oil, it means this limits the amount of oxygen that is going to be absorbed by this water. And so if there's a fish, there's a crocodile, there is planktons, the water plants, all of them, they are going to suffer because they are not going to get enough oxygen. Because a person is asked, where does the fish get its oxygen from? A fish can only get its oxygen from the water. So the oxygen the fishes breathe in is dissolved in the water. So if our oil layer is going to be found on top of the water, it means that oxygen cannot get into that water because it forms a blanket. These are oil film and oil film. This prevents oxygen from getting into the water. So the water is down here, meaning that if there are fish here, these fishes are going to die because they are not going to receive oxygen. Because for them to be able to get oxygen, the oxygen must first dissolve in the water, and then now they can breathe the oxygen from the water. That's why they have gills. Water passes through those gills and gets out through the other side of the gills. So the gills filters the oxygen, meaning that if this has oil, oxygen will never get into that water because this forms a blanket. And that's the same reason why if you place some seeds here and place water, on top of this water you pour some oil, these seeds will never grow, will never germinate, because oxygen cannot get in here and let germination take place. We know oxygen is part of the properties of what is required during germination. So we are saying oil spillage will pollute water, and this will affect marine animals. All of them will die because they will lack oxygen. And this can be a result of oil spilling from oil tankers that pass, they pass through the seas and all those big masses of water. Number 4, we can talk about uncontrolled use of farm chemicals. Uncontrolled use of farm chemicals. What are these farm chemicals we are talking about? Talking about farm inputs like the herbicides, the pesticides, we have the fertilizers. If their use is not going to be controlled, what do you mean by controlling in this case, Lana? We use only the appropriate amounts, the required amounts. If you use in excess of that, The in excess of that is what leads to the pollution. For example, I want to give you an example of a plant here. This plant requires on 1 spoon of CAN, the calcium ammonium nitrate, which is a top dressing fertilizer. If you put 1 spoon here, it's going to be enough for that particular plant, and this plant is going to utilize all this fertilizer. But if you put 2 spoons, what will happen is that the plant will only utilize 1 spoon, and the remaining 1 spoon will float there, will remain on the soil until that time it will be cleared. So what will happen is that when water comes, this will be carried by the water into the water sources. The remaining excess CAN fertilizer will be carried to the water sources. So meaning that this will not ever be utilized by anything. So this one has an effect. Fertilizer got into the river as an advantage and a disadvantage. Number one, it has an advantage. But now today you want to talk about the disadvantage. The advantage is that the water's plants, they are going to grow robustically. So many of them are very healthy. So in that case we say the marine animals are going to get food. They are going to get food because planktons have grown, many of them. But the disadvantage is that if these chemicals are so poisonous, they are going to kill those water animals. So the next one and the last one is acid rain. And what is acid rain? Acid rain, we can be able to see the effects of that. Acid rain is formed when sulfur dioxide mixes with the carbon dioxide and rainwater. And where are these gases coming from? These are emissions from, like this one is an emission from burning of things. When you burn, for example, you are burning a tire, there is carbon dioxide which is going to be emitted. So what happens that if that is going to come, I need to combine also with sulfur dioxide from the industries. Most of the industries that are around do not have gas filters. There's what we call a gas filter. That before these gases are released from the chimney, there's a filter that ensures that the gas is filtered, whatever is poisonous is filtered, and the harmless gas is released to the air. But if this is not done, we have sulfur dioxide all over. When that mixes with carbon dioxide and rainwater, form what we call acid rain. Now the acid rain, the effects are seen. Whenever you see some brown iron sheets, that is because of the acid rain. Once it pours on that rain is pours on a metal work, we say it corrodes. It burns. So acid rain corrodes metal work, be it iron sheets or even some weathering of some rocks. Weathering of some rocks is as a result of acid rain. So acid rain as well is a contaminant of water. So once this acid rain gets into water, you can guess what will happen. It will burn all those water plants, and also the animals inside there, they are likely to die. So these are the causes of water pollution. Number one, we talked about floods. Number two, human and animal waste. Number three, oil spillage. Number four, uncontrolled use of farm chemicals. And lastly, number five, the acid rain. The acid rain. Number one, there's something I did not mention. The last one is industrial waste. Industrial. Number six. Sorry, industrial. You can include that, industrial waste. When I was beginning the lesson, I talked about a leather tanning industry. What is removed there, the leather is tanned meaning that it's washed using chemicals and water. So whatever is removed there is a waste. So that waste, which is water plus some chemicals that are used to wash those eyes and skin, is channeled elsewhere. And if it's not treated, because it's supposed to undergo some treatment, what we call recycling. Recycling, this is to be made harmless. So there's a treatment plan where that water, that sewage is treated and then released elsewhere. If it's treated and released into a water source, then there's no problem. But if it's released direct from the industry into the water source, then it pollutes the water, and therefore you cannot use the water for drinking. You saw last year what happened in some area in Ukambani, where the pipeline broke down there. It busted, and water was seen to have been mixed with the oil from the pipeline company. So you saw what happened. Animals could not use the water, human beings could not use the water, and that's what we call oil spillage. And later on it was rectified, and as we talk, the water now is good for human consumption. So we are saying flush human and animal waste, oil spillage, and controlled use of farm chemicals, acid rain, and industrial waste is all these are contaminants or causes of water pollution. So for today I will stop at that. When I come tomorrow, we look at the effects of water pollution. Number one, on animals, then on plants, and lastly, of course, on soil. Water pollution. The water pollution has an effect on soil. So we are going to see that in our next lesson. Until next time, learner, I want to wish you well. Go through these notes. Ensure that you have made your own notes very well, so that when we meet in school, you will be able to show me your notes, and I will be able to say you did some good work. So until next time, learner, have a blessed afternoon.